Shanice's hand trembled on the microphone. The entire ballroom held its breath. 300 guests frozen mid-champagne, mid-conversation, mid-everything. As the woman in the red dress opened her mouth and detonated Ada's carefully constructed trap in a way no one had planned for. I can't do this anymore. For words. Quiet. Devastating. Kwame's face drained of color so fast Ada almost felt sorry for him. Almost. Shanice. His voice cracked with warning. Don't. But she was already talking, words tumbling out like she'd been holding them behind a dam that had finally, catastrophically broken. My name is Shanice Okonkwo, and I've been helping Kwame Okafor run real estate fraud schemes for 2 years. Her voice gained strength with each word. Like confession was oxygen she hadn't known she needed. We targeted wealthy investors, fake development projects, shell companies, everything you can imagine, and some things you probably can't. The ballroom erupted. Gasps. Phones being pulled from designer clutches. Someone dropped a champagne flute, and it shattered. The sound impossibly loud. Ada couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. This wasn't the plan. This was... Jin-woo's hand found the small of her back. Steady. Possessive. I've got you. But tonight was supposed to be different. Shanice continued, tears streaming down her face now, mascara tracking dark lines down her cheeks. Tonight we were supposed to pitch our biggest con yet. To everyone in this room. Using this hotel, using her, she pointed directly at Ada. Using Ada Martinez's reputation to legitimize everything. 300 pairs of eyes swiveled to Ada. She felt stripped, exposed. Every camera in the room, both the surveillance ones she'd planted and the phones now recording, capturing her shock in high definition. But I can't. Shanice's voice broke. I can't do it because she doesn't deserve this. Because this hotel is real, and she's real, and everything Kwame told me about her was a lie. Kwame moved then, fast, desperate, lunging for the microphone. He didn't make it 3 steps. Jin-woo's security team materialized from the shadows like they'd been waiting for exactly this moment. 2 men in dark suits blocked Kwame's path with the kind of efficient brutality that suggested significant training. He hit them and bounced back, stumbling. She's lying. Kwame's smooth charm had evaporated, leaving something raw and ugly underneath. She's mentally unstable. We had a business disagreement, and she's... I have proof. Shanice held up her phone, hand shaking but voice steady. Bank records, emails, wire transfers, names, dates, amounts, everything. Detective Chun, who'd been posing as a guest all evening, set down her champagne and moved forward with the predatory grace of someone who'd been waiting weeks for this exact moment. Ms. Okonkwo, she said pleasantly, producing a badge from her designer clutch like a magic trick. I'm Detective Sarachen. I think we should talk. If you're not screaming right now, check your pulse. Hit that subscribe button, because this story is about to go nuclear, and you don't want to miss what happens next. What happened next was controlled chaos. Uniformed officers flooded the ballroom. Apparently, they'd been waiting in hotel vans the entire evening. Kwame was handcuffed within 90 seconds, still shouting denials that no one was listening to. Shanice collapsed into a chair, sobbing, while a female officer sat beside her with quiet competence. And Ada stood in the center of her beautiful ballroom, in her emerald dress, watching her world simultaneously implode and vindicate itself. Boss! Jenny appeared at her elbow, tablet clutched to her chest. All the cameras got everything. Every word. Every confession. Jin-woo's team is already compiling. I need air, Ada heard herself say. Her voice sounded distant. I need office, Jin-woo said firmly, his hand still at her back, guiding her through the chaos with the kind of protective authority that should have annoyed her, but instead felt like the only solid thing in a tilting world. Now, you need privacy, and I'm getting you privacy. They made it to her glass-walled office, overlooking the lobby before Ada's knees decided to quit. She grabbed the edge of her desk, knuckles white. He was going to use my hotel. The words came out flat. My reputation. My everything. To scam people. Yes. And she stopped him. She did. Why? Ada looked up at Jin-woo, genuinely bewildered. Why would she confess? We had the evidence. We had the plan. She could have walked away and... Guilt, Jin-woo said simply. Conscience. Fear. He moved closer, and Ada realized with a shock that he looked furious. Not at her. For her. Or maybe she looked at you tonight and realized that some things can't be bought or stolen or faked, and she wanted one real thing before everything else came crashing down. Ada sat down hard in her desk chair, pulled up her laptop with shaking hands, started reviewing security footage because doing something was better than feeling everything. And that's when she saw them. On the footage from 30 minutes ago, while Shanice was confessing, 3 men entering through the hotel service entrance. Not guests, not staff, moving with purpose, military precision. She pulled up different camera angles, tracked them through the building. They'd gone to the 7th floor, where Jin-woo's mother was staying. Jin-woo. Ada's voice came out sharp. Your mother. Where is she? He pulled out his phone immediately, but Ada was already switching to the 7th floor security feeds. Mrs. Park was in her suite, apparently unaware of the 3 men currently standing outside her door, doing something to the electronic lock. They're breaking into her room, Ada said, already moving. Right now. There. Jin-woo was on his phone, barking orders in rapid Korean to someone. But Ada was already out the door, already running for the stairs because elevators were too slow and Mrs. Park had been kind to her and protective, and no one was breaking into rooms in her hotel. She hit the 7th floor hallway at a dead sprint. Emerald dress hiked up around her thighs, completely aware this was stupid and reckless. And the door to Mrs. Park's suite swung open. Mrs. Park stood there in silk pajamas and a hotel robe, holding a high-heeled shoe like a weapon, facing down 3 very large men with the outraged authority of a woman who had not spent 65 years being intimidated by anyone. I don't know who sent you, Mrs. Parr said in ice-cold English, but you have 5 seconds to leave before I call hotel security, the police, and my son, who happens to own a private military company. Choose wisely. One of the men reached for her. Ada didn't think, just moved. She grabbed the decorative vase from the hallway table. Heavy, expensive, would make her decorator weep, and hurled it with every ounce of rage and fear and protective fury she'd been holding in all night. It hit the man in the shoulder. He staggered, turned, saw Ada, and smiled. Ms. Martinez, he said calmly, like they were meeting at a business lunch. Perfect. You'll save us considerable time. Behind Ada, the stairwell door exploded open. Jin-woo and 4 of his security team poured into the hallway with the coordinated violence of people trained for exactly this scenario. The 3 men reassessed their odds with visible calculation. One of them pulled out a phone, spoke quietly in a language Ada didn't recognize, looked at her with eyes that were flat and professional and completely terrifying in their lack of emotion. Tell your boyfriend to back off, he said to Ada, or this gets messy in ways you don't want. He's not my boyfriend, Ada said, with a kind of automatic correction that comes from weeks of people making that assumption. He's mine, Jin-woo said flatly, arriving beside her with one hand immediately going to her waist, possessive and protective and making absolutely no apologies for it. She's mine. Now get out of my hallway before I demonstrate exactly what happens to people who threaten what's mine. The man's phone buzzed. He glanced at it. Something changed in his expression. Not fear exactly, but recalculation. This isn't over, he said. Someone wants to meet you, Ms. Martinez. Someone with significantly more resources than whatever this. He gestured dismissively at Jin-woo's security team. Can't handle. Then he and his companions walked calmly to the service stairs and disappeared, leaving Ada and Jin-woo and Mrs. Park standing in a hallway that suddenly felt very empty and very cold. Well, Mrs. Park said after a moment, still holding her shoe, this evening has been eventful. Comment if you're losing your mind right now, because same. And we're just getting started. Mrs. Park refused to be shaken. I've survived 3 corporate takeover attempts, 2 attempted bribes, and 1 memorable incident with a North Korean diplomat in 1987 that I'm still not clear to discuss," she announced, settling into Ada's office couch like a queen claiming her throne. 3 thugs in a hotel hallway are not going to ruin my evening." Jin-woo's jaw was tight. "Yama, they broke into your room. Attempted to break in. There's a difference." She sipped the tea Jenny had materialized from somewhere. "And technically they didn't break anything. The lock still works." "That's not the point." "The point," Mrs. Park interrupted, "is that someone wanted to use me as leverage, which means Ada is the actual target." She looked at Ada with sharp, assessing eyes that suddenly reminded Ada exactly who had raised Park Jin-woo to be the kind of man who ran security operations across 3 continents. "Who did you make angry, dear?" "I don't know," Ada said honestly. "Until tonight, I thought my biggest problem was my cheating fiancé." "It usually starts with the fiancé," Mrs. Park agreed sympathetically. "Men are disasters. Present company excluded," she added, patting Jin-woo's hand. Detective Chun arrived 15 minutes later, looking considerably less calm than she had during Shanice's confession. "Ms. Martinez, we need to talk about who Kwame was working for," she said without preamble. "Because Ms. Okonkwo just gave us a name that has significantly elevated the threat level of this investigation." Ada sat forward. "What name?" "The Adeyemi Organization." Chun pulled out a tablet, started swiping through files. "Have you heard of them?" "No." "Good. Most people haven't. They prefer it that way." Chun turned the tablet to show Ada a photo of a man in his 60s, distinguished, handsome, with eyes that were somehow familiar. Kofi Adeyemi, West African family operation. Import-export businesses that are mostly legitimate fronts for everything from fraud to money laundering. Very sophisticated, very international, very interested in staying invisible. "What do they want with me?" Ada asked. Chun hesitated, just for a second, but Jin-woo caught it. "Tell her," he said. "Whatever you're not saying, tell her now." Chun took a breath. "Ms. Okonkwo says Kwame was recruited specifically to get close to you. That you were identified as a target because of," another hesitation, "because of your family." The office went very quiet. "My family." Ada's voice came out carefully controlled. "My father was a hotel consultant. My mother died when I was 5. I don't have any." "Your mother's maiden name?" Chun interrupted gently. "What was it?" "Adeyemi," Ada said automatically, then stopped, looked at the photo of Kofi Adeyemi, at those familiar eyes. "Oh God, your mother," Chun said quietly, "was AMARA ADEYEMI, daughter of Olusegun Adeyemi, who built the organization your uncle now runs. She left the family 28 years ago, married your father, and disappeared." Ada couldn't breathe. "That's impossible." "I'm sorry. My father never. He would have told me." "Your father," said a new voice from the doorway, "spent 26 years keeping you hidden from the people your mother ran away from." Everyone turned. A man stood in the office doorway, 50s, well-dressed, with the kind of contained stillness that suggested either profound calm or significant danger. Ada had never seen him before, but something about his face was familiar in a way that made her skin prickle. Jin-woo was on his feet immediately, positioning himself between the stranger and Ada. "Who the hell are you?" "My name is Emeka Osei," the man said calmly. "I worked with Ada's father for 15 years, and I've been trying to keep her safe from the Adeyemi family for almost as long." He looked at Ada with an expression that carried too much knowledge, too much history, too much weight. "Your father asked me to watch over you if anything happened to him," Emeka said. "And tonight, Ms. Martinez, things are happening very fast. You need to understand who your family is, what they want, and why Kwame Okafor getting arrested has just accelerated a timeline that was supposed to take years." "What timeline?" Ada demanded. "The one where the Adeyemi Organization decides whether you're an asset or a threat." A pause, "and prepares to handle you accordingly." Drop a comment if you just gasped out loud because Ada's mother was part of a criminal empire and her father never told her. This story just went from romance revenge to family warfare. The next hour was information overload. Emeka Osei had files. Decades of them. Photos of Ada's mother as a young woman, beautiful and fierce, standing beside men who looked like her, including Kofi Adeyemi, who apparently was her brother. Documents showing the Adeyemi Organization's reach across 4 continents. Evidence that Ada's father had spent years creating a completely separate identity for their family, severing every tie to the Adeyemis. Your mother didn't just leave, Emeka explained, spreading documents across Ada's desk. She defected. And in a family business like theirs, defection is the worst kind of betrayal. So they killed her? Ada's voice was cold. Flat. I don't know. Emeka met her eyes. Your father believed it. The car accident that killed your mother. The police ruled it mechanical failure. But your father never accepted that. He took you and ran. Built a new life. Made me promise to watch you from a distance if anything happened to him. And you've been watching me for 3 years, Ada said slowly. Since he died? Yes. Why didn't you tell me any of this? Because telling you would have painted a target on you, Emeka said simply. As long as the Adeyemis believed you knew nothing about your heritage, you were safer. But then you started building this hotel. Started succeeding in very visible ways. Started becoming someone the family might want to claim. Or control, Jin-woo said darkly. Yes. Ada stood up, paced to the window, looked out at the city that didn't know her entire identity had just been rewritten in the space of 60 minutes. So Kwame, she said. They sent him to what? Seduce me? Marry me? Get access to my hotel? All of that, Emeka confirmed. The Adeyemis need legitimate business fronts. Your hotel is perfect, exclusive, high-profile, frequented by exactly the kind of wealthy clientele they target. If Kwame had succeeded in marrying you, gained partial ownership, they would have had a perfect money laundering operation, Detective Chin finished. Hidden in plain sight, run by the daughter of their own missing family member. Ada turned around. What happens now that he failed? The silence that answered her question was not comforting. They have options, Emeka said carefully. They could try to claim you as family, bring you into the organization willingly, use your connection to their bloodline as legitimacy. And if I refuse, then you become a threat that needs to be eliminated. Jin-woo made a sound that might have been a growl. Over my dead body. That, Emeka said with terrible gentleness, might be the alternative they're considering. Ada's phone buzzed. Unknown number. She looked at it. Saw the text message. Room 1247. I'm waiting for you. It's time we met. Your Aunt Josephine. Ow. Ada said slowly. Would anyone know my personal cell number? Because they've been watching you much longer than you realize, Emeka said grimly. And because someone in your hotel just checked into room 1247 3 hours ago while you were busy with your gala. He pulled up his own phone, showed her a security photo. Josephine Adeyemi, your mother's sister, Kofi's younger sister. She runs the European operations. The woman in the photo was elegant, late 50s, with bone structure that looked hauntingly familiar. Like Ada's, like her mother's. She's in my hotel, Ada said. Right now, yes. Did she send those men to Jin-woo's mother's room? I don't know, Emeka admitted. The Adeyemis have factions. Josephine has her own operations, her own loyalties. She's complicated. I'm going to talk to her, Ada said. Ada, Jin-woo started. She's in my hotel. She knows my number. She's already here. Ada's voice was hard, controlled. The voice of a woman who had spent the evening being jerked around by circumstances she hadn't controlled and was done with it. So we're doing this on my territory, with my rules. Jin-woo looked at her for a long moment, then nodded slowly. I'm coming with you, he said, not asking, stating. I know. Ada held his gaze. I'm counting on it. Like this video if you would absolutely go confront your secret criminal aunt in your own hotel at midnight. Because Ada is about to walk into a room with a woman who might be family or enemy or both. Room 1247 was one of the premium suites. Ada had personally designed the interior 2 years ago. She knew every piece of furniture, every window view, every possible exit. She knocked. The door opened immediately. The woman who answered was even more striking in person, tall, elegant, wearing expensive casual clothes that somehow looked more powerful than most people's formal wear. Her eyes swept over Ada with an expression Ada couldn't name. Recognition. Assessment. Something that might have been grief. Ada, Josephine said, and her voice was cultured, British accented, warm in a way that was somehow more unsettling than coldness would have been. You look so much like Amara, I could weep. You knew my mother. She was my sister. Josephine stepped back, gesture for Ada to enter. Please, we have much to discuss. Ada walked in. Jin-woo followed like a shadow, silent and dangerous, and making absolutely no pretense about why he was there. Two of his security team had taken positions in the hallway. The suite was exactly as Ada had designed it, elegant, comfortable, with floor-to-ceiling windows showing the city sprawled below. Josephine had ordered tea. It sat on a coffee table, properly prepared, utterly civilized. Your men broke into my guest's room tonight, Ada said without preamble. Threatened his mother. Those weren't my men, Josephine said calmly, pouring tea like they were at a garden party. Those were Kofi's. My brother has methods I don't always approve of. But you knew they were coming. I suspected. She met Ada's eyes. Kofi wants you brought into the family. I want you kept safe from it. We have different approaches to achieving what we both want. Which is what? For you to survive, Josephine said simply. Your mother died trying to escape us. I won't let her daughter die because of us. Ada sat down, not because she was accepting this, but because her legs were shaking and she was done.
You have her eyes.
Tell me about my mother, she said.
I know.
And Josephine did. She told Ada about AMARA ADEYEMI. Brilliant, fierce, trapped in a family business she hated. About how she'd met David Martinez and fallen desperately in love. About how she tried twice to leave before finally succeeding. We thought we'd found her 3 years into her marriage, Josephine said quietly. We had people in New York. She knew it. Your father knew it. The car accident, Ada said. Josephine's expression flickered. I don't know if it was an accident. I've never known. But I know your father believed it wasn't. He disappeared with you the next day. Change your last name back to Martinez. Amara had taken his name when they married. Made it impossible for us to track you. But you found me anyway. Not until you started building this hotel. Your name appeared in business journals. Your photo in hospitality industry articles. Josephine smiled sadly. You have her face, Ada. Anyone from the family would recognize you immediately. So Kofi sent Kwame. Yes, but understand, Kofi isn't the only one with plans. The organization has factions. Your grandfather built an empire, but he didn't build unity. Now he's dead, and his children are fighting over what comes next. She looked directly at Ada. Some of us think the family needs to go legitimate. Use our resources for actual businesses. Others think that's betrayal of everything we've built. And what do you think? I think, Josephine said carefully, that I've spent 30 years running operations I'm not proud of, and that I made my sister a promise the night before she died that I would keep her daughter safe, even from our own family. The room was very quiet. Jin-woo spoke for the first time. What do you want from Ada? Josephine looked at him with interest. Your Jin-woo Park, security operations, 3 continents, reputation for absolute loyalty to your clients. She smiled. Good. She needs someone like you. Answer the question, Jin-woo said flatly. I want Ada to meet Kofi, Josephine said. On controlled terms. Before he decides to stop asking nicely. And if she refuses, then my brother will escalate. Josephine's voice was grim. He's already hired the men who broke into your mother's room. Next time they won't break into the wrong room. Ada felt Jin-woo go very still beside her. Is that a threat? He asked, voice dangerously soft. It's a warning, Josephine said. Kofi wants Ada in the family business. He'll use leverage he thinks will work. Her hotel, her reputation, the people she cares about. Her eyes flicked to Jin-woo meaningfully. He's not patient and he's not kind. When does he want to meet? Ada asked. Tomorrow. Noon. Neutral location. Josephine pulled out a card. I can guarantee your safety during the meeting. But Ada, you need to understand who you're dealing with. Kofi killed 2 of his own cousins for skimming from family operations. He won't hesitate to eliminate threats. And I'm a threat because I might refuse to join. You're a threat because you exist, Josephine said bluntly. You're AMARA's daughter. You have a legitimate claim to part of the family operations. Some factions want you brought in. Others want you eliminated, so there's no complications about succession. Ada took the card. I'll think about it. Don't think too long, Josephine said. Kofi's patience has a very short expiration date. They made it back to Ada's office before she allowed herself to fall apart. Not crying, not hysterics, just sitting down on her office floor because standing seemed like too much work suddenly, and putting her head in her hands and trying to process that her entire life history had been rewritten in 4 hours. Jin-woo sat down beside her without a word. My father lied to me for 26 years, Ada said into her hands. He protected you. He could have told me. Prepare me. Instead, I find out because a criminal organization decides it's time to claim me. Ada, I built this hotel, she said, looking up at him. With my own work, my own vision, my own risk. And now it's just, what? A target? A pawn in some family power struggle I didn't even know existed. No, Jin-woo said firmly. It's yours. You built it. No one takes that from you. They're going to try. Then we stop them. He reached over, took her hand. Ada, I've spent 3 months investigating Kwame Okafor. I've got a security team that operates in 17 countries. I've got resources your uncle has probably never encountered. And more importantly, he paused. I've got significant personal investment in making sure you survive this. Ada looked at their joined hands. Why? Because somewhere between surveillance peonies and your laugh at 3 a.m. in your office, I stopped treating this like a professional investigation. His thumb brushed over her knuckles. And if that makes this complicated, I don't care. I'm in this. With you. However it ends. Something warm and terrifying moved through Ada's chest. Jin-woo, you don't have to say anything, he interrupted. I'm just telling you where I stand. So you know you're not alone in this. Ada looked at him. This man who'd crashed in her life like a plot twist she hadn't seen coming. Who made her coffee exactly right without being told. Who sat on crime scene floors with her and held her hand like it was the most natural thing in the world. Okay, she said quietly. Okay. Okay, you can. We can. She took a breath. Okay, let's survive this family crisis first, and then figure out whatever this is between us. Jin-woo smiled. Deal. If you're shipping Ada and Jin-woo right now, subscribe because their relationship is about to get tested in ways neither of them are prepared for. Ada didn't go home that night. Mrs. Park insisted, with the implacable authority of a woman who had decided, and would not be argued with, that Ada stay in a secure suite with round-the-clock security. Jin-woo's team had swept the entire floor. His cousin Hyun-suk was stationed in the hallway, looking simultaneously terrified and determined. Ada showered, changed into comfortable clothes Jenny had grabbed from her apartment. Tried to sleep. Couldn't. At 3 a.m., she gave up and sat by the window, looking at the city, thinking about her mother, AMARA ADEYEMI, who had died when Ada was 5, who Ada barely remembered, just flashes. A laugh, a perfume, hands braiding her hair, a woman who'd apparently defected from a criminal empire and spent 3 years running before dying in a suspicious car accident. I don't even know who I am anymore, Ada thought. Her phone buzzed. Text from Emeka Osei. I have files on your mother. Photos, letters, things your father kept. If you want them, I can bring them tomorrow. You deserve to know her story. Ada stared at the message for a long moment, then texted back, yes, please. She must have dozed eventually because she woke to sunlight and someone knocking persistently on her door. Ada stumbled to the door, checked the peephole. Hyun-suk, still on guard, looking exhausted, opened it. Jin-woo stood in the hallway with coffee and breakfast, and an expression that told Ada something was wrong. "What happened?" she asked immediately. "Shanice," Jin-woo said grimly. "She was transported to the hospital last night for psychiatric evaluation. This morning the hospital called Detective Chun to say she'd been released to a family member. She doesn't have family in this city." "Exactly." Jin-woo set down the coffee. "Ada, someone got her out of police custody using forged documents. She's gone. The Adeyemis. That's Chin's working theory. Either they're protecting her or silencing her." Ada finished. Her stomach turned cold. "We have to find her. Chin's got people looking." "But Ada," he hesitated. "There's more. Your hotel's assets. Someone filed an emergency injunction last night, freezing all accounts pending investigation into your involvement in Kwame's fraud." "What?" Ada grabbed her phone, started dialing her lawyer Chitty. "That's insane. I'm the victim." "It's a pressure tactic," Jin-woo said. "They're trying to force you to the table. If your hotel's accounts are frozen, you can't operate, can't pay staff, can't fight back legally. You have to negotiate." "I have to meet with Kofi," Ada said slowly. "You don't have to do anything." "Jin-woo, they're dismantling my hotel from 3 different angles simultaneously. Legal attacks, staff threats, asset freezes. And they have Shanice, which means they can probably implicate me if they want." Ada's mind was racing. "I need to meet him, see what he actually wants. Then I'm coming with you." "That might make it worse." "I don't care." Jin-woo's voice was flat. "Absolute. Ada, I'm not letting you walk into a room with a man who kills his own family members without backup. Non negociable." She looked at him, at the set of his jaw, the protective fury in his eyes. "Okay," she said. "Together." "Together," he confirmed. Kofi Adeyemi chose the location, a private dining room in an upscale restaurant Ada knew well. Neutral ground, public enough that violence would be difficult, private enough for honesty. Ada dressed in her armor, business suit, heels that could double as weapons, her mother's earrings that her father had saved. She looked at herself in the mirror and saw AMARA ADEYEMI staring back. "I'm doing this for you," she thought. "I'm finishing what you started." Jin-woo met her downstairs in a suit that probably cost more than most cars, looking every inch the billionaire security mogul who owned companies and made governments nervous. "Ready?" he asked. "No," Ada said honestly, "but we're doing it anyway." They arrived 15 minutes early. The restaurant was empty. Kofi had rented the entire place. Security was everywhere, professional and silent. A woman met them at the entrance, stylish, efficient, with the bearing of someone who had handled significantly more dangerous situations than restaurant reservations. "Ms. Martinez." "Mr. Park." "Mr. Adeyemi is waiting." They were led to the private dining room. Kofi Adeyemi stood by the window, looking at the city below. He turned as they entered, and Ada saw her mother's face in his, the bone structure, the eyes, the particular shape of the mouth. He was handsome, distinguished, with the settled authority of someone who'd spent decades making decisions other people died from. "Ada," he said warmly, like they were family reuniting after too long. "Finally, I've been waiting 26 years to meet you." He smiled, and Ada felt every hair on her body stand up in warning. Comment now if you're terrified for Ada, because this man is family in danger, and she's about to find out exactly what he wants. "Uncle Kofi," Ada said, with a calmness she didn't feel. "You've been looking for me. All your life." He gestured to the table, elegantly set, multiple courses clearly planned. "Please, seat. We have much to discuss." "I'll stand," Ada said. Kofi's smile didn't falter, but something flickered in his eyes. "As you wish." He looked at Jin-woo. "And you brought protection." "Jin-woo Park. I've heard of you. Impressive operation you run." "Thank you," Jin-woo said flatly, in the tone of someone who considered compliments from criminals as insults. "Your mother was at the hotel last night," Kofi continued. "I hope she's well. I'd hate for anything to happen to her." Jin-woo went very still. "Is that a threat?" "It's an observation." Kofi turned back to Ada. "You see, Ada, family is everything to us. We protect our own. We eliminate threats to our own. And we bring lost members home when they've been separated too long. My mother left, Ada said coldly. She didn't want this life. Your mother was young, idealistic. She didn't understand what she was throwing away. Kofi's voice hardened slightly. She stole from us, Ada, family money, resources, information. She didn't just leave, she robbed us. You're lying. Am I? Kofi pulled out a tablet, swiped through files. These are bank records. Transfers AMARA made in the 6 months before she disappeared. $3 million from family accounts to offshore holdings. She was planning her escape and funding it with our money. Ada looked at the records. They looked real, legitimate. Did you? She thought, directed at the mother she barely remembered. Did you steal from them? Even if that's true, Ada said carefully, she's dead. Whatever she took died with her. Not true, Kofi said. She took something more valuable than money. She took you. I'm not property. No, you're family. You're Amara's daughter. You carry Adeyemi blood. He leaned forward slightly. Ada, you've spent 26 years building a life without us. You've done well. This hotel is impressive. But imagine what you could do with family resources. With our connections. Our protection. Your protection, Ada said slowly, looks like threatening people, freezing my assets, and kidnapping witnesses. Necessary measures to get your attention, Kofi said dismissively. You weren't returning messages. I didn't know you existed until last night. And whose fault is that? A flash of genuine anger. Your father stole you, kept you from your family, fed you lies about who we are. Are you going to deny being criminals? Jin-woo interjected. Kofi looked at him. We're business people operating in complicated jurisdictions. What's criminal varies significantly depending on location and who's making the laws. That's not an answer. It's the only answer you're getting. Kofi turned back to Ada. I'm offering you a choice, Ada. Come into the family. Let me teach you the operations. Take your rightful place as Amara's heir. In exchange, your hotel stays yours, your assets unfreeze, and everyone you care about stays safe. And if I refuse? The temperature in the room dropped. Then I'll be very disappointed, Kofi said quietly. And when I'm disappointed, I solve problems. Permanently. Jin-woo moved then, subtle but unmistakable, positioning himself slightly between Ada and Kofi. Kofi noticed, smiled. You care about her, he observed. Good. That gives me leverage. Ada, you have 48 hours to decide. Join us willingly, or I start dismantling everything you've built until joining us is your only option. You can't. I can, Kofi interrupted. I've done it before. I'll do it again. 48 hours, Ada. Choose your family. He walked out, left them standing in the private dining room with untouched food and a threat hanging in the air like smoke. Ada made it to Jin-woo's car before the shaking started. He drove them back to the hotel in silence, his hand finding hers across the center console, grounding her. When they reached her office, Ada finally spoke. He's going to destroy everything I've built unless I join him. Then we find another way, Jin-woo said immediately. What other way? He has resources, connections, people, and I have the same. Jin-woo turned to face her fully. Ada, I'm not letting him take you. We fight back. How? We expose him. The entire organization. We get Chun the evidence she needs to bring RICO charges. We make it impossible for him to operate. That could take months. Then we buy time. Jin-woo's voice was fierce. We freeze his assets. We use my connections to block his operations. We make him too busy defending himself to attack you. Ada looked at him, at this man who'd become essential without her noticing exactly when it happened. Why are you doing this? She asked quietly. Because, Jin-woo stopped. Started again. Because 3 weeks ago, I walked into your hotel planning to investigate a fraud case and walk away. And instead I found you. And Ada, he cupped her face gently. I don't walk away from you. Not now. Not ever. Jin-woo. He kissed her. Not gentle. Not tentative. deep and possessive and claiming in a way that made everything else fade. The threats, the fear, the chaos. Just them. Just this moment. When they broke apart, Ada was breathless. "We're in the middle of a crisis," she said. "I know. This is terrible timing." "The worst," Jin-woo agreed. "We're probably both going to die." "Probably." Ada kissed him again. Harder. With every ounce of fear and fury, and this is mine that had been building in her for days. When she pulled back, Jin-woo was looking at her with dark eyes and a small smile. "So," he said, "we fight. We fight," Ada confirmed. If you're screaming about that kiss, like this video, because Ada and Jin-woo just became an official team, and the Adeyemis have no idea what's about to hit them. They had 36 hours before Kofi's deadline when everything went to hell. Ada was in a meeting with Chitty, her lawyer, strategizing how to unfreeze her assets, when Jenny burst in without knocking, which Jenny never did. "Boss," she said, and her face was white. "The police are here. They have a warrant for your arrest." The world tilted. "What?" Detective Chun appeared behind Jenny, looking genuinely apologetic and utterly professional simultaneously. "Ada Martinez, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit fraud, money laundering, and racketeering." She pulled out handcuffs. "I'm sorry. I fought this. But the DA's office just received evidence from an anonymous source that—" "What evidence?" Ada demanded. "Bank records showing transfers from your hotel account to shell companies Kwame used. Email correspondence between you and Kwame discussing the fraud operations. Phone records placing you at meetings with known Adeyemi associates." "That's impossible. It's fabricated," Jin-woo said flatly, appearing from wherever he'd been. "All of it." Kofi's framing her. "I know," Chin said quietly. "But it's good enough quality that I can't ignore it." "Ada, you'll get bail. You'll fight this. But right now I have to." "I understand," Ada said, with a calmness that surprised her. She held out her wrists. The handcuffs clicked closed, and Ada thought distantly, "This is how he destroys me. Not with violence. With the law." She was processed, fingerprinted, photographed, put in a cell that was clean and cold, and nothing like her life had been 6 hours ago. Jin-woo was there within an hour, working with her lawyer to post bail. She was released 6 hours later, with an ankle monitor and strict instructions not to leave the city. Jin-woo drove her back to the hotel in silence that was somehow louder than any conversation. "He's not going to win," he said finally. "He already is," Ada said flatly. "My reputation is destroyed. My hotel's assets are frozen. I'm facing criminal charges. Everyone I care about is in danger." Jin-woo, he's systematically dismantling everything. Then we hit back harder. With what? He has infinite resources and zero morals. And we. Jin-woo pulled the car over abruptly, turned to face her fully. "We have something he doesn't. We have each other. We have people who actually care whether we live or die. We have the truth. The truth doesn't matter if no one believes it. Then we make them believe it." His voice was fierce. "Ada, I'm not giving up on you. On us. On any of this. So you can sit here in despair, or you can get angry and fight with me." Ada looked at him, at this impossible man who'd crashed into her crisis and decided mine and refused to walk away. "Okay," she said. "I'm angry. What's the plan?" Jin-woo smiled. "We go after Kofi's operations. All of them. We expose everything. And we do it publicly enough that he can't make us disappear without consequences." "That's insane." "Completely. We could die. Probably." Ada took a breath. "Let's do it." But they didn't get the chance. Because when they arrived back at the hotel, something was wrong. The lobby was full of police. Crime scene tape across multiple areas. Staff looking terrified. Detective Chun met them at the entrance. "Ada," she said quietly, "I'm so sorry, but we need to talk about your assistant." "Jenny? What about her?" "She was found an hour ago. In the basement. Someone—" Chun paused. "Someone took her. There are signs of a struggle. And this." She held out an evidence bag containing a black card. "We have what you care about. 48 hours is now 24. Make the right choice. Gah. Ada couldn't breathe. Where is she? We don't know. But Ada. Chun looked genuinely afraid for her. Whoever took her left, very clear signs that they're serious. You need protection. Real protection. I have. Ada looked at Jin-woo. I'll call everyone. Jin-woo said immediately, phone already out. We'll find her. Ada, I swear to God, we'll find her. But even as he said it, Ada knew the truth. Kofi had Jenny, and he would kill her unless Ada surrendered. To be continued in the next series. Because Jenny just got kidnapped by Ada's criminal uncle. Ada's facing criminal charges. Her hotel is being destroyed from inside. And Jin-woo just kissed her like he owns her, and now everything is on fire. Comment. What would you do if your assistant was kidnapped by your criminal family? Would you surrender? Would you fight? Subscribe because part 3 is coming and it's going to be brutal. Ada is about to make a choice that changes everything and none of us are ready for it. Because when they take what you love, you burn everything down.